Hey, my name is Rick Huddle, and I'm going to talk about D.B. Cooper and why we love him. If you don't know who he is, I'll explain all of that, and maybe at the end of this 5 minutes, you'll love him too. Now, just to give a little bit of context, in 1971, Nixon is our president. There's this growing gap between the rich and the poor, and pop songs about smoking marijuana are being sung by guys with long hair and bushy mustaches. On November 24th, 1971, this guy who calls himself Dan Cooper gets a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle. Once he gets up into the air, he orders himself a bourbon and soda and gives the flight attendant this little slip of paper that says, "I have a bomb." He opens up his briefcase, and she can see these red sticks of dynamite with wire wrapped around them. She goes to the pilot calls ahead and starts the negotiations. Once they land in Seattle, Cooper lets all of the passengers off. He just keeps the crew on board. And he tells them that he needs this money, and so this bank, who ends up turning into Bank of America, they give him the $200,000 that he asked for, which is roughly $1 million in today's money. And the airline gives him these 4 parachutes, which makes everybody think he's going to take a hostage. So he says, head to Mexico and fly low at 10,000 feet and slow 200 miles an hour. And he tells all the crew to go to the front. Well, somewhere along the flight, the cabin pressure decreases, and when they land in Reno, they find out why. Cooper let the aft stairs, these stairs at the back of the plane, down, and he jumped into the cold, rainy night, never to be seen again. It's the only North American skyjacking never to have been solved. Well, the airlines and the FBI, they figure out that he must have jumped somewhere near Mount St. Helens, near this town called Ariel, Washington. And in the next 38 years, that's where they look. But in the next 38 years, the only thing they can find is this black JCPenney clip-on tie they left on board. And in 1980, $5,800 of Cooper's stolen money washes onto the banks of the Columbia River. But in the next 38 years, people don't forget him. There's about 10 books that have been written about him, a handful of songs, and 2 really horrible movies that were written about or inspired by Cooper. Well, I found out firsthand how much people are fascinated by this guy this past spring when the Rose Festival Foundation hired me to portray him in the parade. They gave me this wig and this parachute and this sack of cash and sent me off down the parade route on the back of this Mini Cooper. People were screaming this, "Woo, D.B. Cooper, you're the man!" It was really awkward. 1, because it wasn't me, but 2, because when we go up to the parade stands, they'd announce D.B. Cooper and everybody scream and shout, and then they'd say, and in the front seat is Ralph Himmelsbach, the FBI agent who tracked Cooper for the first 15 years, and it was really Ralph Himmelsbach. And people would just politely clap. Ralph was a good sport about it, though. Every once in a while he'd turn around and be like, "Yeah, that's the way to go, kid." So I started wondering why people love this felon so much, and part of it, I think, is the mystery of the whole thing. You know, today with supercomputers and DNA testing and CSI-type technology, we still don't know what happened to the guy. Not to mention, we don't even know who he was. He just appeared this one day and vanished, never to be seen again. Part of the intrigue, I think, is our fascination with celebrities. You know, Mel Gibson can go on this anti-Semitic tirade. Mike Tyson can bite off somebody's ear. And Paris Hilton can do all the things that Paris Hilton does, and nobody really cares. We want to know more about him. Part of it, I think, is the whole miraculousness of it. It's just like the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or Thelma and Louise. They jump off into this impossible situation. It's just so dramatic, and that's exactly what Cooper did in real life. But the biggest part of it, for me anyway, is that I wonder if I could do it. You know, Cooper, he didn't physically hurt anybody the entire time. And while rationally, I don't want skyjackers up in the air, emotionally, it also feels like a victimless crime. You know, he stole money from these big banks and this big faceless corporation, not from any real person. And so, I think it's kind of like sticking it to the man. And in 2009, when billions of dollars are going to Wall Street and millions are going to the CEOs of big corporations, it feels like a little bit of justice for all of us. And that's why I love D.B. Cooper.